Hi, I'm Terrell Turner, the host of the Business Talk Library. And today I have another great guest on, and we're going to talk about this business, 2ULaundry, and what that journey's been like. And the interesting thing about this is when you're in a business that is consumer facing, the level of innovation that you go through, the challenges that you face when you're consumer facing are a bit different from your B2Bs, or I guess you say your SaaS models that are more focused on other businesses. So I'm very interested to talk to Dan DeQuisto and to hear his story, to hear about what's going on with 2ULaundry. So welcome to the show, Dan.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, before we jump into 2ULaundry, tell us a little bit about your background before starting the business.
Yeah. So pretty sort of different background. I like to compliment myself with my business partner and co-founder Alex Smerzniak. So we always tell the story. Him and I grew up together. We've been best friends for 20 years. We remained close through our childhood days, and we always knew we wanted to get into business together. And once we graduated high school, we both kind of went down separate paths. My path. I stayed up in Minnesota where we grew up, went to the University of Minnesota. And after that, I jumped right into a hyper growth phase startup in the SaaS world for youth sports called Sport Engine. It was acquired by NBC Sports a couple of years ago. I was working in sales and marketing for about a year and a half at that business. Simultaneously, my co-founder, Alex, who I started 2ULaundry with, was working as a financial consultant for Ernst & Young here in Charlotte, North Carolina. And then we joined forces after being at our big boy jobs for about a year. And we were sort of complacent. We always, as I mentioned, we always knew we wanted to get into business together. So we joined forces back in 2015 to go down the path to build what's now become 2ULaundry. And how we got sort of into laundry was by way of Alex's success story. He started a similar concept catered to college students at Wake Forest University. And we always wanted to get back into the laundry space. And so we wanted to bring it mainstream to the mass public here in Charlotte, and with aspirations to become a nationally known and recognized business. And so we've been executing down that path for the last 4 or 5 years.
Gotcha. That's interesting because, when you talk to a lot of entrepreneurs about, what they're focused on, like, tech or fintech, and you don't hear as many people talking about like, some of those very useful core things like laundry. So when you guys, I mean, other than, looking at your business partners, like what he did, Wake Forest, was there something about, laundry that attracted you to like, hey, you know what, there's still a market here.
Yeah. So it was at the hype of when we started. It was at the hype of all of these. Let's call them Uber for X models. Everything was getting Uberized, whether it's car share, food delivery, massages, dog walking, etc. But the core of those businesses were about convenience and saving people time. And the workforce and busy professionals, that sort of landscape or market was growing considerably. People were moving to these secondary, tertiary cities like the Charlottes of the world to get a better quality of life, but they didn't really have access to these types of services. And we recognized that opportunity that all of the major cities across the country, whether it's San Francisco, New York, LA, you had access to these convenient services, and there was no reason those types of services couldn't thrive in these cities like Charlotte, North Carolina. And so we recognized that opportunity, that there was actually a different sort of customer base, the busy family with kids who have such limited time, and they're the ones who not only can they afford these types of services, but they seek these types of services to really give them that time back. And so that's what we went down the path with. We wanted to provide a tech-enabled service, as just how easy it was to get a house cleaner or a car or food delivered. Laundry is one of those most hated household chores. It's one of the most time consuming, and there was really no scalable tech forward solution to doing that. And so we wanted to bring that representation into the laundry space, and really focus on that customer experience and giving people time back by way of outsourcing a recurring time-consuming service. And so that's really been the core of what 2ULaundry is. And we really want to give back time to the world for the things that matter more, and allow people to do side hustles, do that do-it-yourself project at home, things that you wouldn't typically be able to do because your life is just so crazy and ongoing, especially in today's world.
Hmm. Gotcha, gotcha. No, I completely understand. I think now that since people are, with COVID-19, a lot of people are staying home. I think they're starting to get reintroduced how long laundry actually takes them.
Exactly.
So when you guys, thought about, this idea, what was that journey like of, going from idea to actually let's build a business around this idea? What was that process like?
Yeah, I mean that process I remember vividly. That it was definitely the most exciting and the scariest sort of point in our relationship, and not only as co-founders but also as a business. I mean that's really the roots of taking ideas, making that jump, quitting your job where you have recurring income coming in. But we were 23 at the time when we started, and neither of us were locked down with families or kids, and so we knew that the best thing you could do is jump into the deep end and figure it out. And we've always had that chip on our shoulder, being underdogs, especially building a company in a consumer facing company at that, in a city like Charlotte that is dominated by fintech and finance and other SaaS or business B2B businesses. And so what we did initially was really surrounded ourselves with successful entrepreneurs and people who have built other consumer-facing businesses. And neither of us had that true background in building a company. Alex had success at Wake Forest building a college-based business, but when you jump into sort of I guess a major city and bring it to a broader population, it's different, and there's so many different places on where to start. And I think that's the overwhelming part of it, especially if you've never done this before. Where do you start? Do you build a website? Do you try and get customers? Do you try and seek funding? And so we really wanted to, we brought that sort of tactical mindset to our approach, and really set out a plan that we executed on every single day, with the main focus point being tapping into the market, getting feedback on what we were actually bringing before we started building it, and simultaneously surrounding ourselves with those successful entrepreneurs in the space, whether they've built companies before, that helped us at least kind of start building and executing against that path of starting it chunk by chunk. And then ultimately that worked in our favor, and we focused on the right things early on. We wanted to prove product market fit, getting our name out there, putting an MVP website up to start driving traffic to get feedback. And we leveraged the local community, and that's really what sparked us down the path of really being customer focused and leveraging the people and experts around us to help us ultimately just increase that chances of success. We knew we weren't egotistical. We were listeners. We were sponges, we like to call it. We talked with every single person, got their feedback, and implemented and iterated throughout. So that's always been sort of our mindset as we've grown and built the business.
Nice, nice. Now, as you go through that journey, I mean, what a lot of people kind of struggle with is said that you mentioned MVPs is really having an MVP for focus versus hey, it has to be perfect. Like, and we're not releasing it unless it's perfect. How did you kind of work through that to get comfortable with the MVP perspective?
Yeah, so I think because we didn't have a ton of experience, we weren't sort of influenced by the fact that we needed this beautiful website or mobile app or everything branding specific perfectly. We knew that there were a lot of tools out there to spin up a landing page, to get your logo created for $50 on Upwork or Fiverr, what have you. That's the route that we took, knowing that before we were going to invest a significant amount of money into the business, or before we were going to go ask people for money, and that's like the path in which a lot of startups go down is most founders or startup executives don't have the capital to put into the business up front. And so you either have to generate revenue early on, or you have to prove out that there is a market here, and then go ask for capital from investors. And before we were even comfortable doing that, we knew we wanted to get validation, which is why, again, we jumped into the deep end. We quit our jobs. We went all in on the business, and we wanted to prove it out ourselves. So if we truly believed in it, then other people would believe in it. And so we did just that. We were the ones who worked on the website, getting it up and running, wrote the copy for the website, built out the payment processor system, and integrated all the technologies. And we did it at a scrappy mindset. I think that's one of the core things that if you run across people in Charlotte or in our investor network on how they look at Alex and I, we're scrappy hustlers that make things happen, and we execute, and we're very resourceful. And so we just kind of coupled all of those resources together, spent a little bit of money to make that happen, and went to the market to start collecting customer feedback. And that's really where you started seeing things pick up, and people were like, I'm interested in this. I want to sign up. Can we get started? And we always live on the mindset of like fake it till you make it, and we wanted to position ourselves as this professional company, and I think it is pretty easy to do that today with a lot of affordable resources, but then on the back end we just had to work that much more hard on making it happen, and really proving it. And at some point, those sort of the proof and validation and revenue kind of overlapped, which was like the perfect pivotal point for us to then go raise capital and start treating this like a real business, and growing and expanding. And that's what we sort of executed on.
Gotcha. So what was that process like in, like I said, with the raising capital of, getting ready to pitch the business, or even get in touch with people that you could pitch the business to?
Yeah, so I think getting in touch with those individuals is easier than ever nowadays. There's so many platforms in every city. North Carolina is an exciting size of a market that has high net worth individuals that are looking to diversify their portfolios, and we experienced that over the last 5 years. We've raised about $10.5 million to date for 2U, and the first tranche of that coming about 8 months after we started the business. We raised a $400,000 sort of friends and family, or seed round as they call it. And those were with individuals that actually weren't our friends or our family. It was with high net worth individuals and small seed fund investor groups here out of Charlotte and the Southeast. And so we tapped into a lot of the local networks, whether it was the Charlotte Angel Fund. Pitch Breakfast was actually probably one of the best sort of launch pads for us. I'm sure you've heard of it before, but we got really integrated ourselves into the startup community here in Charlotte. And again, I think that's easy to find nowadays, especially with a lot of other successful entrepreneurs giving back to the community, a lot of people wanting to be involved. A lot of the big banks are starting to get involved. And so Charlotte is starting to become this really exciting hub. And we took advantage of that. It was difficult in the early days, especially because we were this consumer-based business that was doing laundry. People hear that and they're like, okay, let's see what happens here. But we really professionalized it, and we're really focused on knowing our numbers and how having a plan to scale. And that confidence showed in a lot of those early conversations. And it was really at that cusp, or that sort of inflection point, where startups were starting to become more widely known, obviously across the country, but even in Charlotte. There were some successful consumer-facing startups right at the time that we were launching. And so we started gaining some traction. We won some local awards that really helped kind of spread awareness. And ultimately, we took every phone call. We talked to every person that we could. We reached out on LinkedIn. We cold emailed people. And again, that was like that hustler mindset that I think really positioned ourselves to accelerate, especially on that funding and professional network side of things, which people are out there. Again, I will highly recommend those startup founders to get scrappy, reach out to other founders who have done it before. You have access to so much around you, especially here in Charlotte, and I'm really excited about where the Charlotte sort of startup hub is growing towards, and there's just more and more people getting involved, and that's really what makes Silicon Valley and New York what it is. It's the network. So I'm really excited to not only be a part of the Charlotte community, but hopefully have some impact there as the 2ULaundry name has kind of grown, and we have done things like raised a decent amount of capital across the board, but we've kept a lot of it into the Southeast, and that's really what I like seeing here for our market.
Awesome. Now you mentioned about, like I said, the professional look of the business. Can you tell us a little bit about, kind of the branding side of it? Because I believe I've
Yeah.
seen some of your branding material. Like, tell us a little bit about that.
Yep. So consumer facing business, you want to be something that naturally is welcoming, it's catchy. The funniest part about it is if you saw our brand when Alex and I first started, you could tell that two people or two guys did it who have never built a brand before. It was literally two different colors of blue. It was very dark. There wasn't a lot of storytelling with it. It was very cut and dry. And then as we expanded our network, we talked to a lot of obviously branding and marketing professionals, and really challenged us to kind of go about building the brand a different way. About 4 months into the business, so when we first started the business, we thought it would be people like ourselves. We thought it would be millennials in banking who just want to outsource dry cleaning, maybe laundry here and there, so they can spend more time at the breweries. And that was the case because we were targeting these high class A apartment communities throughout Charlotte, where a lot of these Bank of America or Wells Fargo investment bankers were living. But about 4 months into the business, I remember the phone call, getting a mom actually called, and she was almost in tears that our business was a thing. She's like, "You guys will literally pick up my dirty laundry from my front door, clean it exactly how I want it, and bring it back the very next day. I'm in. I need the bags now. I'm going to tell all of my friends about this." And
Wow.
that exactly happened. And so we started catering to a different upper sort of class, high income demographic. It was busy families with kids, the demographic that we weren't. And so we really needed to surround ourselves with those professionals and really dive into customer insights and
Mhm.
to help kind of shape the brand in a way. And that's where the pink and blue came in. So very friendly. We really wanted pink to differentiate ourselves, and a lot of the people that you talk to in the markets that we've expanded into, they'll recognize us by way of the pink vans. And so all of our vans that we have are bright pink branded, driving around the city of Charlotte, and people recognize it, and that's kind of what we're known for now. So we've really positioned ourselves as that sort of family friendly, clean, educational brand and aesthetic. And I think that's one of the biggest differentiators that we've had in the market to really attract the customers to our level.
Awesome. Now that the customers and that everyone who's listening and watching are excited about what 2ULaundry is doing, so how do they get in touch with you guys to take advantage of your services?
Yeah, pretty simple. So we have a mobile app or a website. It's 2ulaundry.com. You can learn all about the service from there, but basically it's simple. Sign up for our service. It's free pickup and delivery. For those looking to outsource laundry, we have all different types of products and preferences to cater to exactly how you do it at home. We also offer a dry cleaning pickup and delivery service that's very competitive and comparable to how you do it yourself, going to a dry cleaner, except we'll pick it up and deliver it for free within one business day. So that's one of the things that we really position ourselves on, is convenience, affordability, very comparable pricing to local competition, but we make it quick and easy by way of our technology and mobile app. And so sign up online. You can use promo code DAN20 to get $20 off your first order. And we'd love for anyone to experience it. And we're always looking for feedback. So feel free to share. And you can reach out directly to me at dan@2ulaundry.com and share the inner workings of how the experience went for you. So we're always excited for that.
Awesome. And then can they find you guys on social media to see what you guys are up to and any latest updates?
Absolutely. So we post all the time on our blog, which is on our website, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, which is at 2ULaundry. And then we have some pretty exciting updates coming for the business and launching a whole new concept in the franchising space called Laundry Lab. You'll see some announcements there across the local media outlets here and in the next couple of weeks on Charlotte Agenda and Charlotte 5, et cetera. So look forward to that as well. The team behind 2ULaundry is really excited about this new endeavor.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, before we wrap up, one last question I always like to ask every guest that comes on is when you think about where you've been and you think about where you are now in your business, what's two lessons that you've learned that you would share with other business owners?
Yeah, so the first one that I always share is kind of twofold. It's you got to jump into the deep end, and you have to persevere. You have to fight through it. I've found that in talking with a lot of other entrepreneurs who have just dabbled their feet in or who are looking to get into entrepreneurship, it either doesn't work out because they're not fully invested, or they end up never doing it. And so I think now is a better time than ever at all stages in life to jump into that deep end, take a risk. There's a lot of people and resources that you can surround yourself with, and that's exactly what we did. A lot of people want to help. There's been a lot of successful businesses in and around Charlotte, and there's a lot of entrepreneurs who want to give back, and they're out there, and you can find them and surround yourself with those individuals to help you continue to persevere, help you make those decisions, learn from the mistakes, etc. So perseverance and jumping into the deep end, 100%. This isn't easy, but nothing's easy that's successful. So you got to work at it. Number two, I think sort of in that vein is you can't do this alone. You have to surround yourselves with other people. I high five or give a pat on the back to those sort of solo entrepreneurs. I don't know how they do it, especially if they have family or kids. It's kind of bizarre to me. And so I challenge everybody who's looking to get into business to find people, whether it's a co-founder, a team member, an investor, a mentor, an advisor. There's all different ways to get people involved into your business. And I think everyone needs to do just that. You can't do this alone. Or you'll go crazy. And so surround yourselves with like-minded people who believe in what you're doing, and take advantage of that. Don't be afraid to ask questions. So it's all about the people in the network to help you personally and professionally jump into that deep end and persevere through those tough times. Because again, it's not easy, but the challenge for the right people is incredibly fun and rewarding at the end.
Awesome. Well, Dan, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure having you on to hear your story and also to hear your insights. So again, thank you for coming on the show.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. And I'm really excited about what you're doing. So I appreciate it.
Thank you for tuning in to the Business Talk Library. If you like our content, be sure to follow us on social media. And if you want to see more of our exclusive content, you can subscribe and become a member on patreon.com/Business Talk Library. Hey, the Business Talk Library is the place where business makes sense.